The LIV Golf series has caused a lot of uproar in the golf world since the franchise came into the limelight, and the drama hasn't ended yet. It's also no news that the PGA Tour isn't going to settle for cohabitation with the LIV, not without a fight. As a result, the two franchises have taken their beef to court, and recently LIV Golf has been dealt a huge blow in this ongoing lawsuit. So stay with us in this video as we take you through everything you need to know about this ongoing court case and the setback the LIV has recently suffered. Does the whole PGA LIV controversy look to have lasted forever or what? The drama started when the idea of a structure for a new golf tour to challenge the PGA Tour came to light in 2019. Initially, it was meant to be called the Super Golf League. Pretty sure you're hearing that for the first time. Anyway, the PGA Tour manager Jay Monahan responded by indicating that golfers who choose to feature in a new golf league would have to be separate from PGA Tour players. Fast forward to 2020, and the Premier Golf League held meetings with Saudi investors about financial alliances, but Saudi golf investors would rather invest in a new franchise than make alliances. The Saudi Arabian sponsors had their own agenda to introduce a new professional league, with increased payouts and less playing time being the major selling point. In response to this, the PGA European Tour and the PGA Tour organized a strategic cooperation to work with each other on marketable ideas, programs, and prices for each golf tour. Already, a battle line was drawn because the PGA felt threatened by a new franchise coming up with sweeter offers for players. Then by late 2021, specifically in October, the breakaway franchise was formally inaugurated as LIV Golf Investment, with former professional golfer Greg Norman named CEO. Well, it's 2023 now, and progress has been made for sure. The LIV has held a number of events, and players have begun getting the large payouts they were promised. However, it's been far from smooth for the Saudi-backed franchise. They've faced publicity and media difficulties amongst many others, but most recently a court case that didn't quite go in their favor. The case, or two cases actually, was about LIV Golf's demand to resolve its antitrust issues against the PGA. In their effort to get rid of LIV Golf, the PGA Tour made discoveries that revealed that the LIV had made some sort of foul play. The LIV listed Saudi Arabia's public investment fund and its governor, Yasser Al-Rumayyan, as sole investors for the new franchise. Still, PGA's supposed discovery states that both Yasser and the PIF had gotten directly involved in recruiting players from the PGA to LIV Golf. Sure, it doesn't sound like much of a big deal to do that, but in the judiciary world, it's a breach of contract, and that's what the PGA Tour lawyers stand on. The case began in 2022, and LIV Golf probably thought they were doing well on the matter until more recently, in February 2023, when the presiding judge denied both LIV Golf lawsuits. The judge ruled that the PGA Tour can add Saudi Arabia's Autonomous Wealth Fund and its governor Yasser Al-Rumayyan as defendants in its suit with the current legal fight with LIV Golf. The U.S. District Judge Beth Labson Freeman's ruling was the second lapse suffered in under a week by the LIV Golf. That's right, they've been catching back-to-back losses. Before the case of the PGA Tour with monopolistic conduct, Magistrate Judge Susan Van Coolen ordered the LIV, or rather the Public Investment Fund, which owns 93% of LIV Golf, to present evidence and records relating to the antitrust action they're suing the PGA for. The attorneys for PIF and Al-Rumayyan had requested to subdue writ claiming autonomous immunity. They also anticipated appealing Van Coolen's decision that their investment falls under the marketable exertion exemption to the Foreign Sovereign Immunity Act. However, the disagreement focuses on LIV's altercation that PIF and Al-Rumayyan were investors. On the other hand, the PGA Tour believes that documents acquired during the intervention process hint that they were laboriously involved in drawing in players to join the league, which absolutely goes against the contracts with the PGA Tour. And these court cases are not just for the board members and the guys in suits, no, even the players have gotten involved. That's right, Phil Mickelson is just one of the 11 players who seek justice against the PGA Tour in the North Carolina court. In a different ruling, the district judge, Freeman, ruled the PGA Tour's amended complaint must keep concealed details related to LIV's contracts and business plans. Still, she denied LIV's inquiry to keep concealed matters related to the Saudi involvement in the LIV exertion. The LIV's antitrust claims are somewhat based on denying allegations that it paid super competitive prices to recruit golfers. The court finds that these lapping issues further undermine the complainant's request to split. But that's not all, though. Documents in a PGA stint acquired in December 2022 claim that PIF and Yasser played an active part in contract accommodations. It also claimed that the earlier mentioned parties expressly approved each of the players' contracts, knowing that these deals would intrude with the players' PGA contracts and get them kicked out of the tour. But what would be their motive for doing something that could get them in trouble, though? Well, this order the PGA Tour obtained had its roots in the rumors that the LIV is the end result of a long simulated plan to take over professional golf as part of Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030. And this isn't even that far-fetched, given that Al Rumayyan is a member of Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's inner circle. So yeah, he might just be part of the Arabian state's larger plan. In fact, although Greg Norman has been the public face of LIV Golf, many sources have claimed that Al Rumayyan and Majid Al Surur were the two people who had the final say over the franchise's moves, at least until when Al Surur was removed as managing director of LIV Golf. If that's revealed to be true, it would be a massive wrongdoing from LIV to have other affiliated persons be the ones running the show from the shadows. LIV Golf's attorneys have, however, contended that the PGA Tour is misusing monopoly power to punish players who opted to leave the tour. Their claim is based on the fact that the PGA Tour, which is supposed to be an independent body, has been able to push out LIV players from participating in major events not even organized solely by the PGA. That's what monopoly power is all about. You're probably wondering what evidence they have. After all, it's a court case. Well, PGA Tour lawyers used a direct text between Al Rumayyan and 2020 US Open winner Bryson DeChambeau as a glaring example of the officials' depth of involvement. We have to say, they've got a point there. If Yasser is solely an investor, it'll take some explaining to make everyone see why he would be personally texting one of the franchise's top recruits. PGA Tour lawyer Elliot Peters said this during a January hearing. "This isn't what a government does. This is what, as somebody that is running a golf league does. LIV is pretty much a shell, and the financial consequences, be they good or bad, of the investment, flow through to PIF. Already the LIV Golf has been condemned by many as a sports washing organization. The approach of coming in and just buying players out from the PGA Tour doesn't sit well with many. And not only that, there's also the not-so-tiny issue of Saudi Arabia's alleged human rights abuses issues, from politically motivated killings to forced disappearances and inhumane treatment of prisoners, and even the murder of Jamal Khashoggi, a Saudi journalist and Washington Post columnist, which is believed to have been ordered by the Saudi royal family, who are largely affiliated with the PIF. So the final takeaway for this case is that the PGA Tour believes that Norman is only a puppet CEO. They claim that LIV's leadership understands Al Rumayyan as the de facto CEO, and that Al Rumayyan influences LIV's day-to-day activities and operations both in the United States and abroad. Even when contracts are endorsed and debts compiled, the PGA claims that PIF holds the purse strings. None of LIV's partners or golfers get paid until PIF and Al Rumayyan agree to distribute the money. And now that LIV Golf has suffered the large blow of having two rulings made against them in this case, let's just say things aren't looking up for the breakaway franchise at the moment. And if you found this video informative, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more great videos like this.